Oh, Matthew, the tip of my penis is so hot right now. Like
That's exactly
it's just
what happened to me.
centralized, like right there. I'm like, why is it right there? And then like it goes back right behind my asshole. And I'm like, did I just pee myself? I don't know, but it feels like, and then I'm trying to figure out, wait a minute, do I like this or do I not like this?
Well, baby, you've been on my mind. I think about you all the time. Oh, I want to see your face.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you today?
It's my birthday today.
Happy birthday, my friend.
I always do the time. How's it?
We've already entered the time space continuum.
Right.
When this comes out,
It's not
I'll
gonna
be
be your
40,
birthday.
I'll be 50 by the time.
You'll be
You
50,
might be 72 by the time this comes out.
It's true. So do I not? Do I look good for
we're-
58?
You look good for 52. 100. So like if we're gonna film a few of these today, how many birthday episodes are we gonna have?
Oh, we're gonna have. Well,
It's
it depends if I can get the
You're going to
musicians
be
out
50
of
by
bed.
the end of the day.
That's true. I will. But no, in all seriousness, we have a special guest today, Brandon,
really special guest.
and you booked this one.
I did.
And would you like to introduce our guest? And we'll start off with the cheers, and we'll get this going, right, handsome Dan? By the
do
way,
it.
your hair is on point. Can we
Hey.
get a shot of you real quick? I mean, it's amazing whenever once a week you wash and condition.
Once a week I wash.
Yeah.
And I need
So
to.
you just go through like the car wash thing.
That's exactly what I do.
Okay.
And I try to get all the crevices.
Yeah. The crevices.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You got to use the gun, man.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now, your hair it really does. I guess I'm used to seeing a hat or a bandana.
Yeah,
right?
no, it's got this. It's looking very
Clean.
voluminous.
I'm trying. Dude.
Voluminous.
I'm trying. I'm trying to do it right.
Well, I'm gonna tell you,
Proud of
whatever
you.
you're doing.
Tomorrow I'm allowed to cut it. It's been 2 years.
No,
Really?
no, you are fired.
Really?
Remember, he said he was gonna shave and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Awesome.
right, now can we
So
get started?
our
Thank you.
guest today is I could call you a friend of mine. She's definitely an important part of my life in terms of keeping me going.
Right.
Cristi Cuellar.
Cuellar.
So I watched her video, so I know how to say her last
Say
name.
her last
where
name.
she's from. Cuellar.
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 Cuellar?
Cuellar.
Cuellar.
Cuellar, like, so you're a little French then.
No.
No.
There's a city in Spain called Cuellar.
Yeah.
So
That's
All right,
Spanish.
so guys,
It's not French. That's
this
not
is a
French.
morning episode. We are so blessed to have you. Today we're going to be drinking a little bit of Topo Chico,
Love my Topo Chico. I drink
You
at
are a
least
Topo
5 of these a day.
at least. And
Yep.
so we're going to crack it open.
Try not to get too many bubbles.
I always forget. One of these episodes, Dan, I'm going to shake it up before I always forget. Can I call you Cristi?
Yes.
Thank you for sleeping around with Dr. Brandon and Matthew this morning. Cheers to you.
Thank
We're going to have a
you.
good time.
Cheers.
Good time. Oh, I got the lime. What was this one?
Grapefruit.
Oh, grapefruit.
Yeah, I'm going plain and
Are you?
coffee. Yep.
I'm plain and coffee. It sounds like you had a rough night, so keep it under coffee.
So Cristi, I got to know Cristi because it's actually kind of an interesting story. I had never heard of dry needling before.
I love it.
Have you done dry needling?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
remember I've talked about this on episodes. I
Yeah.
had the back issues,
Yeah.
ex-athlete, dry needling, and we're going to talk about it. I watched your videos on how you do it, why you do it. It's so awesome. And we're actually going to have a link on our YouTube page, guys. If you're listening to us on iTunes and all that, YouTube, please like and subscribe. But we'll have all of Cristi's information. Guys, if you Google her name, and I'm going to say her last name wrong this time, Cuellar, you will see that she does these great videos. There's stretching, there's functional stretches and breathing and wings, and we'll get to all that. But so I take it you got dry needled.
Well, I did, but I didn't at first. So
Okay.
my significant other, Jenny, does a lot of dry needling, and she has her physiotherapist back home where she's from, up in Canada.
So we always joke about this. Jenny really is a person, guys.
She really is real.
Besides the Niagara Falls area, girl, in Canada.
So she, she deals with some issues, some former injuries and stuff like that. And so she does this dry needling, and she was down here for a couple of weeks.
Right.
And she's like, man, I am really tight. I'm worked up. I need to get in. I need to get needling. Does anybody need? And I'm like, what's dry needling? And I had no idea what was going on. So I Googled and I found Cristi.
Oh, so that's
and
how you met.
that's how we met. And so we went, I booked an appointment for Jenny. Jenny goes, and I get to watch Jenny get dry needling, and my eyes just about popped out of my head. I'm like, you're sticking these needles in her. And then she's like, and I'm like, and her whole back's like shaking. And I'm like, what is going on? And so And I deal with a lot of my own, back issues and that kind of stuff.
You have a lot of red
Career.
flags.
Yeah, I know. Totally. And so anyways, after seeing that, I was like, well, I guess maybe I'll give it a try. So I started going, and I've been seeing Cristi for a couple of years now, I think, right?
I think it has.
Yeah.
Been.
Has it been 2 years?
Maybe a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, before we jump into dry needling, I know we just jumped up and you're probably going, these guys have a bromance, because we do. And we obviously are attracted to handsome Dan. I want to talk a little bit about you and kind of where you're from.
Sure.
So I'm going to start off with just a basic question. Is that fair?
Sure.
Is that your real hair color?
Yes.
Okay, good. I Googled you because I like to do some research on our guest. And a lot of people don't know where Pharr, Texas is. And Pharr, Texas is spelled P-H-A-R-R.
Yes.
Okay. It's in South Texas,
Yes.
right? Next to, most people would say it's in between McAllen and Harlingen.
Yes.
Okay. How was it like growing up in Pharr, Texas?
Growing up in Pharr, Texas was fun. I mean, I didn't know what to compare it to.
Sure.
I grew up in Pharr. Our school district was so small that we connected to San Juan and Alamo. So I went to a high school called PSJA North. Let me give you a backstory.
Please.
My dad was a football coach. He was a great football coach. He coached Edinburgh, Texas, and they made it to state a couple times in the 80s. So he was very athletic, loved coaching. I think that he secretly wanted, I'm the oldest child,
Okay.
feel like he wanted me to be a boy because
Yeah.
he really loved athletics. I think he saw that I had some athletic talent. He entered me in this fun run, which was, I think back in the day, it was second grade. It was like an 800-meter dash. Well, the gun went off and I dashed. I was in first place the whole time. And then I faded out. And that's how he saw that I was probably going to be a great track runner. So I grew up running track since I was in second grade.
What was your event? Track?
Oh my gosh, 100-meter dash.
100 sprinter.
I was a sprinter.
Sprint relay.
100, 200.
Yeah.
I was a long jumper. I had amazing spring, and I loved gymnastics. And so I got into cheerleading, and I was a cheerleader. It was great.
So growing up in Pharr, having your father, it sounds like in Texas, people who are watching this or listening on the podcast, football is everything.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
So I'm sure your father was probably like a celebrity too, right?
He
what I'm talking about,
was,
local
yeah.
celebrity. So, and you're the oldest of how many siblings?
3. I have a younger sister named Karen, and I have a younger brother named Romy.
Okay. So obviously you started off in this track realm, sprinting, like you said, going, but you did mention something. So you ended up getting into gymnastics and then obviously cheerleading.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about that journey. And the reason it's important, guys, is because I think your chosen field, and what I've learned a little bit about you, is that athletics, this journey of fitness and taking care of yourself and the body, has been a journey forever. So it's competitive in that world, isn't it? Gymnastics and cheerleading.
Oh, right. Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about that. I'm trying to understand these competitions and stuff that I watch at ESPN at 3:00 in the morning, but it's competitive, correct?
Yeah. Well, back in the day, my mom paid for us to be in ballet and gymnastics and dance and, gymnastics classes.
Right.
And then cheerleading was a little expensive. I would hear my dad and my mom argue about, the outfits being too expensive and stuff like that. But as y'all know, if a kid's an athlete, they're an athlete, they have the natural talent, and it just comes out on the field.
Absolutely.
I was great at it. I every time I was in a race, I got first place, and I just got used to it, and I'd get so much praise, and it just felt great. Yeah. And then it was in 9th grade, we were in cheerleading practice. I think in the morning I had track practice. I was in summer track, and then the afternoon we were getting ready. We were getting ready for football season and cheerleading practice, and I was at the top of a stunt, and I was like, guys, I feel a little uneven. Fell off.
Oh.
And my foot fell onto the mat a weird way. I just heard a big pop. I was like, what is that? I thought I broke my leg. I was able to stand up and walk, but my knee kept on giving out. Went to go check it out. I tore my ACL.
Complete
Swelled
tear?
up. complete tear. Went to the doctor or orthopedic, and he's like, nope, you need surgery. So I was scheduled for surgery a week later. And then after that, I was just really sad. I was so sad because I was known as like the fastest girl in my school and this amazing cheerleader. And I just got, I was known as like the cool athletic girl in the school.
And think about it. You were in 9th grade, right?
Yeah.
And looking back on it, it's so interesting to say that girl, but I know what you're talking about. That was your identity.
Yeah.
That was everything.
I was, yeah.
My daughter's 16. So I can kind of relate a little bit to wherever you are in that age group. I can imagine that if that was your whole world and now you're healing.
Right.
And back then, and I don't know your age, but I think back then we really didn't talk about that a lot, right? We just need to heal, get better. But there was probably some depression, some anxiety, like who am I if I'm not that person?
Right.
So was that something that you were kind of going through? That
I was definitely going through that.
Okay.
And then, so my doctor sent me to physical therapy. I didn't know what physical therapy was.
Right.
But what it was is it seemed like athletic training and a mix between an athletic trainer and a doctor. And so it was awesome because I learned about a protocol and at this week you should be here and
rehab. Oof.
Yeah. So I went through that. I was a part of me was really inspired because I had a great physical therapist, but it was also a weird experience because something happened. Like I had a different physical therapist all the time. So I felt a little bit lost. And
wow, so there wasn't a consistent, there was probably someone who led the rehab program, but you're right. When you'd walk in every
2 times a week, something like that. Yeah. And so there was something about that. And then I had friends that also went through ACL tears and they were progressing well. So I was like, what's wrong with my protocol? Like, why am I not healing as fast?
Did you not heal as fast as those other people? Or, I mean, how long did it take you to rehab and come back from that?
So I was a sprinter and my fastest time was a 12:5. And I would say that it took a complete year to come back fully.
Yeah. And that's not uncommon, especially I think back then. I think nowadays people are doing
I was going to say,
faster.
I think the Adrian Peterson story is the most amazing about an ACL.
Yeah.
But so that year of just you every day rehab or every other day rehab, but you're constantly thinking about it. You're walking around with this limp. I'm sure you wore some kind of brace, right? Your identity is not with the cheerleaders anymore. You're probably there supporting, but you can't do the stunts and stuff.
Right.
Talk to me about that year. Did that year play a pivotal role in why you're with us today and doing what you do?
Yes.
Cool.
So I knew that, I knew it made a huge impact on me, and I knew that an injury and what we do, who we are, and what we do is a big deal. And so I knew in the back of my mind that I wanted to get into the medical field and be able to support others. So that was like planted in my mind. And then the other part of that year was me discovering my other talents, more about who I was.
There you go.
And more the artist side of me. Because sometimes it's not all about we're doing, performing.
Yeah.
But
you think about it. So you even said, and you shared this, like, growing up, that's all you did. And so when a significant injury happens, and I know I went through this as well, right? As a young person, having to sit out of the chosen sport that I thought was my life, right? But it gave me that opportunity to learn something different. Right. There's a different part of Matthew. I was always known as this one certain person. And I've always said that I don't believe in coincidence, right? Things happen and brought you to that level. But man, it's such a fragile age. Your father, who he is, this is your identity. So it sounds like you came back. Did you say it was a year?
it took about a year.
Now, you gave us your time before. Did you go back to sprinting and were you able to match that same time in the 100 or no?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, look at you.
Actually, so it actually took me 2 years.
Wow.
Because in between then, I wasn't as fast, but that's when I discovered pole vault and I was able to pole vaulted.
Oh, wow.
I was like, well, my legs are not working.
We have a risk taker.
Pole vaulters are crazy.
They are.
They are like crazy.
I know.
It was so funny. One time I went up and I went all the way to the top, and then fell straight back.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I have watched more. You know how you go down. I'm sorry, we're kind of veering off here, but you go down those rabbit holes of watching videos.
Yeah.
I got in this thing on pole vaulting and watching, like, because someone just recently broke a record, I think last year during COVID, but then watching all the attempts and how the pole snaps. And I mean, I just couldn't imagine. Going back to you. So you discovered see, this is what I love. You discovered a new area. You're like, I can't be the fastest sprinter, but hey, I'll start pole vaulting.
Yeah. The other thing I want to talk about is that the Valley, I mean, we're mostly Mexican, and there's a lot of Mexican food. And this is when I discovered that food made a huge impact, or possibly made an impact on my recovery.
Right.
And this is also, I grew up with asthma, and there was times that I would get really sick. And so that's when I started kind of thinking, you know, why am I swelling up more than my teammates? And so
did you have a rescue inhaler?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then later on in my life, I did discover that I had some autoimmune stuff.
Oh, we're going to talk all about that later, girl, because me and you are on the same page.
Oh, really?
I'm like 100 pounds lighter. I'm big on inflammation. I think I do saunas. I'm a freak when it comes to carnivore. Anyways, but so you get into pole vaulting 2 years later. So I'm not that strong in math. That tells me 11th grade. Junior year. Okay. So junior year in the Rio Grande Valley, guys, not only is it the culture that I love, but there's a lot of machismo down there. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It's Texas.
That's
we
part
have
of the
that
culture.
Yeah. We have some swagger down there. So 11th grade, are you feeling yourself again? You kind of rediscovered I got this new talent in pole vaulting. Did you go back to gymnastics and cheering?
Yeah, I did.
But you probably weren't, were you the number one stunt person this time, or were you more of the?
I stayed
kept
grounded.
your feet on the ground this time.
I kept
Yeah.
Okay. So high school finishes up, right? And you obviously had learned some valuable lessons. How in the heck does someone as smart as you, so talented, end up at Baylor University? I'm just kidding. They just beat my team. I had to.
Baylor's doing great.
I'm a
this
Sooner.
year.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's a Texas
They
guy.
kicked our ass this year.
No, Baylor's a great school. I actually graduated from their sister school. This isn't a joke. Oklahoma Baptist University up in Oklahoma. And I'm just joking. Waco and Baylor's beautiful. So how did you end up at Baylor?
How did I end up at Baylor? Okay. So we're going to go back to the dad thing.
Let's do it.
I grew up also Catholic, and a very small town. Everybody knew who everybody was. And I wasn't even known as Cristi. I was known as like Cristi Cuellar. Cristi Cuellar's here. Cristi Cuellar.
Yeah,
and like I just really wanted to get away. So I knew that I wanted to go away. Yeah. I think I applied to like a school in Florida and a school in LA. Like I wanted to get away, but Baylor was pretty much the most far away school that my parents
would let you
negotiated with me.
With you. Here's the deal.
Yeah, but it was great. It was great. Since I was the oldest, I didn't know what to expect. So I kind of went in with a little bit of stress. I was supposed to talk to the pole vault coach, and I remember I missed it because I was so stressed about going to class instead.
Right.
I put a lot of pressure on myself in college. I graduated in 3.5 years.
Wow.
At first I thought I was going to do pre-med, and went through with the pre-physical therapy. And so I graduated with a health science studies degree, and then went on to Texas State for my master's.
I love it that you call it Texas State. This is showing your age. I had a different name for it, but beautiful campus down there as well in San Marcos.
Yes. Southwest Texas.
Southwest Texas State.
Yeah.
Bobcats, eat them up.
What was it called?
Southwest Texas State.
Oh,
Handsome Dan.
I didn't hear what he said. I was looking right at you.
She said it, and I know you get lost when you look at me. So hold on. So is that where the PT program was?
Yes.
And I'm going to dive into.
So it's a master's program.
It was at the time.
Now, for physical therapy, is that very similar to, you mentioned like the pre-physical therapy program? So is that that's pretty typical track? You go and get your bachelor's, then you go get your master's in physical therapy, and then you go from there.
Yeah, you can major in whatever you want to get into physical therapy school, as long as you've taken the number of courses required to get into PT school.
And again, it sounds like I'm being silly, and because I usually am. PT school is so hard to get into. Like I said, my birthday, I'm 48. So I can remember when my friends were getting in to college, it was hard. Like
Yes.
to get into PT school, if you got accepted, it was something big. So you must have had your wits about you. 3.5 years undergrad, and then you went to school. So I'm assuming that you were a straight A student, one of those people.
I was.
Sitting in the front row.
All right. So Texas
On
State,
time.
beautiful campus. You go from Waco and the Branch Davidians. I'm sorry, the Baylor Bears. And you move down to beautiful San Marcos, Texas, where they have a great river, where it's fun, but you're focused still, right? I got a feeling like if I'd have met you back in college, you were just driven, right?
I was so focused.
Okay.
I was so focused at Baylor. I mean, I went out a few times. I had a great time, but I also studied a lot. I spent so much time in the library.
Right.
And
Hold on one second.
mhm.
We have to explain this. Handsome Dan's what they call, he's young. So back when we grew up, they had these buildings and they called
Right.
libraries, and you would go in there and you could get books, Dewey Decimal System,
Right.
and
Yes.
study. It was nice and quiet in there.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. No.
Go ahead.
I'm sure.
So you spent a lot of time in the library studying.
Yeah, I studied. I did well. I graduated really, and then I'm still unsure if I totally want to do physical therapy. But I went through.
Right.
I got accepted first round, and
Awesome.
and grad school is 2.5 years. I would say that's. If we want to talk about sleep later,
Oh,
that's
we'll
when
get
I
there.
first
there.
when I first had like sleep issues.
Well,
Stressful.
drinking coffee, studying, stress,
Yeah.
anxiety. You were young though, and thank goodness you didn't go out. You only went out twice while you were at Baylor. That's good.
Yeah, mom and dad.
That's okay. Yeah, mom and dad's watching this. All right. So I always find it interesting, right? Like I told you I have a child and I'm trying to mentor her. I was at a different track, right? So I was a jock and played sports and stuff, but in psychology was my undergrad. But I knew I had to get a little bit of experience before I just went straight to grad school. I've always found it interesting, those that are so driven that they know exactly what they want to do, that they get their undergrad, go to grad school. So by the time you finish and you said 3.5, 2.5, I'm guessing you were still 23, 20
Yeah.
out in the world.
24. Yes.
24.
Out
So,
in the world.
so what's that like? Like, were you just like, here I am? Or did you just go straight into work?
I went straight into work, and my first job was at a hospital, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Ooh, this is weird."
Right.
And then I was like, "Maybe I'll find another job." And then I went into pediatrics, which was awesome. I moved back to the Valley,
Yeah.
and that
you were
was
there
fun.
for a while. I saw your study stuff for I think, did you develop that pediatric program down there? Because I think I was looking at you from 2007 on, and then,
Oh wow, no.
okay.
It was a pediatric program. I also did home health.
Mhm.
But I tend to burn myself out some way. I'm not sure why. It's
Well,
this
there's no
type
breaks
A.
in there, by the way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's when I started second guessing physical therapy, period, or
Whoa.
my happiness. I was just like, I think I may have gone too fast and not explored other options.
There you go.
So I was like, I need some more fun in my life.
Yes.
So then I decided that I wanted to do travel physical therapy. And I was like looking into New York and California again.
Mhm.
And then at the same time, I had been to Las Vegas for so many times for conventions and with friends.
Right.
And I was like, I think I'll move to Las Vegas.
So you took one of my talking points. Go with it. Vegas. Let me hear it. Talk to me. How does someone live in Vegas, number one? But go ahead.
yeah, I accepted a travel job to do a 3-month assignment in Vegas.
Uh-huh.
It actually fell through while I was packing the day before. She's like, we can relocate you to Reno. And I was like, no, I'm not going
Yeah.
to go to Reno. So I decided to pack, get there. I had a bunch of money saved up. So I was just like going to, just go by and apply for different orthopedic clinic type jobs.
Uh-huh.
And then, I worked there. It was crazy. It was actually a great experience
Sure.
because that's when you could do anything in Vegas, anything. You could be whoever you want. And
Yes, you can.
I had to make the decision. I have to have self-discipline or else I knew I'd get eaten up.
Well, it sounds like you've always had self-discipline, Cristi.
Right.
I mean, I just met you, but the path. It's interesting you said something there that I think our listeners and our viewers are going to love. You got to a certain point in your life where you're like, I need some fun. Like what am I doing? It's almost like that self check-in. And if Vegas was your wake-up call, or this opportunity to travel was, that's awesome. So you get to Vegas. Is that where you're, and hopefully I can share this, where you started really getting into fitness and the other opportunities you were doing?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
I'll tell you why I got into that because
Can we say what it is that? Can we say, I didn't know if you wanted to talk about it.
We'll talk about it.
Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So Vegas, you can go out and party any day you want.
Yes.
And even patients, all my patients worked at the casinos.
Mhm.
They always had extra tickets for a concert or a show.
Right.
They always, they could get you into this club. And then this week, somebody's going to be in town and the MTV Music Awards and
Right.
like the ESPY shows and UFC. Like I went to all those things. And, I also had so many friends visiting all the time.
Of course you did.
Yes,
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
single weekend I was going to some club. And I actually worked part-time as a little, VIP host helper thing. And because I thought I maybe wanted to go into the service industry. That's how I found out I didn't want to go into it because it's like a total 24/7 job. So then I noticed myself going into the vicious cycle of, needing coffee for the morning and then going out and then drinking alcohol. And then the next day I feel like shit. And then, and then I started whatever.
Kind of like how Brandon feels right now. No, this
Oh,
is
yeah?
an
Did we
example.
go out
Has he
last
said
night?
2 words this episode?
No, you've said them all.
Okay.
How are you feeling though after your
Great,
night?
great.
You're
Yeah.
good?
Yeah, long
good.
night.
Good deal.
It wasn't that long.
I
But
don't
for
know.
me,
I just figured it was your birthday night, so I figured you had yourself some fun.
well, I appreciate both you guys coming to celebrate my birthday with me last night.
We're here
Yeah,
Oh.
today.
Oh, well, today's the birthday.
Yeah.
Okay.
we'll get you.
We poked the bear. He's awake. All
Believe
right.
me, we'll get you.
All right. So that's interesting that you were doing that, but you know what I'm talking about.
Well,
The
so
fitness.
you were doing that and you were still doing your physical therapy job.
Yes. Yeah. And so I noticed,
So
I wasn't-
part-time job, physical therapy job, partying.
Party time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not
So-
sleeping.
Right.
Yeah.
I was a little burnt out. I had gained weight. I was like, what's going on with me? My workouts are off. I mean, this whole time I always worked out. I loved working out. Working out was like the best high. If I didn't have a workout in, my mood would start to change. And so I don't know. There was just like, oh, man, I want to get more regimented into working out. I kind of want to train for something. Should I train for like a 5K? And then I remember waking up on Sunday mornings and seeing this, I don't know if you all seen it now, or I don't think it's there anymore, but ESPN would show these fitness competitions. You see these super athletic women like doing flips and 1-arm push-ups in a cool costume. And I was like, I want to do that.
No, I did. I know exactly.
Do you remember those?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was thinking of, I wanted to do a fitness competition and I didn't know how I would get into it. Well, I had a coworker that worked with me at a rehab clinic, and she was a Cirque du Soleil dancer, and then another coworker that did that was a bodybuilder. And so I kind of talked to them. Hey, I kind of want to do this thing, and they were in. And so yeah, that trainer, got me on a plan, and then I entered a contest that was 3 months in the future, and then I did it.
Now the training for that's pretty rigorous.
It's all about the diet, right?
and
is
the
so
diet. I mean, the diet's absolutely crazy. I mean, I've heard stories, and Jenny did some fitness stuff, and I mean, it's just like what you would do to your body.
No, I think no. And so I love how you did that. I'm getting to know your personality. You set a goal. So it's 90 days out. I'm going to get in this ridiculous shape for this competition that I've just learned about. Correct?
Right.
Brandon asked a good question. What was that training like compared to this nightlife you had, these other jobs you had, your diet, everything? How did that kind of change for you?
It was a balance. That's when I learned how to prioritize.
Yeah.
I still went out. I learned to drink
Vodka versus beer.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
All these sugary drinks versus
Right.
just taking a shot or,
Right.
making it low calorie as possible. But I also learned about how alcohol inhibits fat metabolism. And I learned so much. It was very rigorous, but it was actually the healthiest I felt.
Oh yeah.
Just because it was such clean, it was clean eating.
Yep.
And I grew up, eating
tortillas.
tacos,
I was gonna say
enchiladas,
flowers,
burgers, fast
Yeah.
food.
Uh-huh.
And I just thought the version, my version of healthy was a grilled chicken sandwich, and the bodybuilding diet was just, a carb, which was rice or potatoes, and then a vegetable.
Yep.
I mean, I'd never eaten asparagus before.
Oh, it's the greatest.
It
so
is
good.
now. I love it now. But back then, I was like, what's a
How
Brussels
long? How
sprout?
long does it take you to get asparagus
Oh,
after you eat asparagus?
shoot, like 2 hours.
2 hours. Yeah. Like I think I can put asparagus in.
I've never heard it called asparagus.
That was a new one. I think you might have created something.
Did you? That's a T-shirt we're gonna do.
I think we should.
I
do
love
it.
it. That's merch. For sure.
So-
Asparagus?
Asparagus.
Like a
So
little animal.
I literally can eat asparagus and walk to the bathroom, and my pee will stink. It'll 13 seconds later.
That's me with coffee too.
Can,
though.
can we cut that? It's just that's the thing.
Oh yeah, we'll clip it. Clip it.
Thank you. All right. So getting back to you.
So you're 2 hours. You're a little slower than me, obviously, in your asparagus digestion, but that's okay.
That's good. You're a good absorber.
Maybe I'm a super absorber.
That's good.
Yeah.
I love this podcast.
It stinks,
I love this.
dude. It stinks so
I
bad.
believe you.
It's like
But that means that it's actually doing its job.
There you go.
Because asparagus boosts your liver into making more glutathione. Actually, asparagus has the most glutathione.
so. What do you think about glutathione
Glutathione
supplementation?
is like the mother of
So-
all antioxidants.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I've been doing that in my IVs. Some of the,
Yes.
I do those IVs, and
Yes,
you
I
do.
know.
It's good for your skin. I don't know if you notice how good my skin's been.
Well,
Lately.
I was going to say your beard's so on point.
Yeah,
I actually have noticed, and I'm curious because I'm sitting here editing all these. I'm like, his face looks very like I don't know.
well, I did some stuff, but we can get to that later. But then the glutathione, I think, is helping as well.
Last night you were at a party. I was at a IV drip party.
Yeah, what'd you drip?
It was called Immunity Booster or
Yeah.
something. It had glutathione, NAC,
Yeah.
NAD, vitamin
Did you do the
B.
NAD?
Yeah, just a little bit.
just a little bit.
Do
You
you
didn't go
like-
too hard,
yeah. If you
Yeah.
go too fast,
dude.
you're totally dizzy.
So I do that every 3 weeks, and
Can I tell her the story when I witnessed you getting that and what was going on with your body?
well, the NAD hurts. The NAD is painful.
Yep.
Like it goes in and my jaw tightens up and I get a headache and my neck tightens up, and it's amazing because the second it stops, it's over. But then we do this vitamin push, this huge vitamin push. Do you get the warm sensation with the vitamin push?
I've done that with vitamin C.
Yeah. And you get
I
like
felt
warm
that.
on the inside.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm sitting next to him.
Matthew's sitting next to me, and all of a sudden I look at him and I go, oh, Matthew, the tip of my penis is so hot right now. Like
That's
it's
exactly
just
what happened to me. But it was
centralized, like right there. I'm like, why is it right there? And then like it goes back right behind my asshole, and I'm like, did I just pee myself? I don't know, but it feels like. And then I'm trying to figure out. Wait a minute, do I like this or do I not like this?
And I'm watching him going through this, experience that tells you how close we are. And I'm like, are you okay? Like he's like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, but my whole body started sweating.
Yeah.
Like my core temperature felt like it rose 27 degrees.
Yeah.
I have been doing these drips for. I did the NAD stuff for. I did a 5-day deal to get boosted, and then I've been doing every 3 weeks, probably for the last 3-4 months now.
Yeah.
I've been feeling great. Like I really have been.
So you were at a drip party last night.
I'm sorry. Let's get back to this. Hold on. We got to get back to why do you think where did the burnout before going to Vegas? Like where'd that burnout stem from? Because I meet a lot of dentists too that they get out of dental school, and I was very similar. I went through this track of like graduated high school at 17, straight to college, 4 years degree, straight to dental school. 4 years, get out, start working, go.
And he didn't drink. Like he didn't do anything. Like,
And I didn't party, I didn't
Yep.
drink, I hung out, but we,
You were focused.
but I meet a lot of dentists too that they go through that and they're working, and then it's just kind of this burnout. Is the burnout because it was all work and no play? Was the burnout because of the type of work you were doing? Like, were you fulfilled in the type of work you were doing, or was this like your kind of the beginnings of, maybe someday I want to do something on my own and be more entrepreneurial about it?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I definitely want to talk about that. So going back to dry needling, going back to my whole purpose and where I've been and where I am now, there's three major pillars to healing. And one is, the muscular system. Two is the nervous system. And then three is like your mindset and why we're burning out. And what I noticed, or what I can observe, is that I think I was burned out because I was freaking people pleaser. Like,
wow,
I just got all my needs met by making other people happy. And what also we learned, women, we just like the more successful we were, then, the better person we are. And, we're just super competitive and we compare ourselves to others.
Right.
And
There's a delicate balance, right, in being selfless, because I kind of can relate to you this way where I love serving, and it's selfish. Like, I love serving in any capacity because it makes me feel good, right? But I had to learn as I got older that I can't just keep giving away myself, my spirit, my time,
energy,
my energy, because at the end of the day, then I have nothing that's filling me. And whether it's in a relationship with coworkers, personal relationship, parents, siblings, it sounds to me like you were so driven, and that's awesome awareness. And it sounds like you're looking back on it going, well, if I would have known then what I know now, but that's probably where we call it burnout, but it's true. When you're just constantly giving and giving and giving, you got to hit a point to where it either goes in a couple different directions. And tell me if this is fair. Spiral out of control and you become 300-pound you eating burgers and working at a strip club in Vegas or a casino. I'm being dead serious here. Depressed, not happy. Or because your personality, because you're how you were brought up and your upbringing, took the bull by the horns, got in shape. This is what I'm doing. I'm going to change my lifestyle. And so that's one way that you got into those three pillars.
Yeah.
Recognizing those three pillars now, that wasn't you in Vegas, or is that where it started, where you recognized these things about your dreams and desires and kind of the core of who you are? Or are you still discovering?
I would say I discovered that a little later. Vegas was more about like how to lose weight or keep your body in shape with a specific workout and supplement. I didn't know about supplements. I didn't know about L-carnitine, like all these natural supplements.
Right.
I also did learn about steroid use and like how women take steroids and how women can take like really heavy pharmaceuticals to like look a certain way.
Yep.
And so I'm glad that I was in the bodybuilding industry because one, there's like a great, there's a healthy way to like look great and stay lean.
Oh,
yeah. And then there's the other part of bodybuilding and pleasing others where you're doing all these things to actually sabotage yourself. Yep. And that was my big lesson in bodybuilding, but I was grateful for it.
I'm going to tell you what, I think what's interesting about our podcast, right? And you're probably like, man, what sleeping around the podcast? What are these guys? It's stuff like this that just intrigues me. It's someone's journey, right? Watching you tell stories about, I don't know, are you getting this on video? Like when you talk about your old self, it's with not disappointment, not the mistakes, but it's like you're proud. Like, hey, this is where I'm at. So I just want to point that out. I think it's awesome that you can go, this is what I learned. Good, bad, and the ugly.
Right.
And a sense of gratitude. I think.
So how long were you in Vegas?
I was in Vegas for about 4 years. I came back. I moved back to the Valley because I got into a relationship. And that's the other thing about my burnout. I was doing bodybuilding and I was working full time as a physical therapist. I didn't, the VIP host thing, that lasted like 6 months.
Yeah.
And then I was going back and forth supporting my brother because my brother was he was in high school. And of course, football is a big deal in our family. So I was just tired and I was dating somebody from the Valley. So I decided, you know what, let's move back to the Valley.
Wow.
And I kind of wanted to get into physical therapy in some way, like bringing fitness to the Valley, because I don't know if you know this, but McAllen has like the highest diabetes incidence in the country.
It's huge.
I'm such a fan of McAllen, Texas, that dear relationships, an AADSM board member, American Association of Dental Sleep Medicine, Dr. Michael Adame.
My mom went out with him.
He is one of the
A long time.
he is one of the most amazing. Then Dr. Solis in the clinic over there. I've worked with our pulmonary centers. We have really worked to change the culture down there since 2015 with ventilation, sleep, CPAP, and now oral devices, where we all work in concert together. They are an example, believe it or not, where I go around the country talking about this system, and it started down there, but they're amazing people down there. You're right. It is a culture that I love and I can embrace, but the health is just compliance, people staying on medications, people, it's machismo. There's all these things. So here you come from Vegas, you go back to this, obviously relationship to go to change the culture with a purpose. How did that work for you? As we're talking to you in Austin, Texas. Oh, go ahead.
Some people wanted to know more. Actually, they just wanted to know about it. I'm not sure if they wanted to do anything about it.
Right.
And some people were open to it.
Right.
Because I was so burnt out. I went to a bunch of doctors and I got I remember 13 vials of blood taken out. That's when I found out that I had a thyroid condition called Hashimoto's. I also.
Do you want to explain what that is to people? I'm not being funny this time.
Oh, Hashimoto's. Basically, it's a problem of your thyroid. It's attacking itself and it's secreting antibody. You can tell that you have Hashimoto's when you're secreting too many certain antibodies.
Talk about the physical aspect of it.
Oh,
to our viewers. Yep.
More on the low thyroid side. Just low energy, hair falling out.
There it is.
I lost half of my eyebrow.
Yep.
It was weird.
So it's real big on hair loss. And so they didn't know what that was kind of coming from a thyroid. They'd give out Synthroid or the generic forms, but you're right. Very serious condition. So thank you for bringing that up. And then go ahead.
And then we did an allergy test and a food allergy test. I was allergic to 80 out of 100 foods.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so she's like, well, you seem to be allergic to all of these. Well, what it really meant was I had leaky gut.
There you go.
And how does leaky gut start? It's, to me, I think I was eating too many of the same foods. It was chicken, asparagus, and rice, every day for my body in my bodybuilding career. And so I was allergic to all those foods that I was eating. And then plus a lot of others. And so she wanted to put me on a bunch of medications. And then I was just really disappointed knowing that I had these new diagnoses. So that got me into, hey, what are the other things out there that can help me heal? And at the
You're walking around with one eyebrow, half your hair out, leaky gut, your 7 vials of blood are out of you. I can imagine you're probably going, I just got to do something. I got to feel better.
Yeah.
And they just want to put you on medicine.
Right. So someone introduced me to a nutritionist around here. I forgot her name.
It's okay.
But she did all these other tests that were not typically done in a doctor's office. And it was great. She taught me more about food. I was inspired by her certification. She was a Czech practitioner. And so that got me into wanting to study more about the Czech holistic lifestyle coaching program.
Can you break down that, not for Dan, for our audience, what CHEK stands for?
Corrective, holistic. Correct. I don't remember.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
My friend also has Hashimoto's, and she dealt a lot with some months she'll gain 30 pounds out of nowhere. Did that happen to you as well? Especially with the competition stuff happening.
I was always puffy. My ankles got puffy. I did gain some weight.
The hair loss is the big one that, especially in females, that they notice the most.
I don't know that my friend has. I don't know. Maybe she does, but her main thing was a lot of weight loss.
We'll find out, and we'll edit however we need to do the check. So, but it's a certification program, and you're like, wow, this sounds cool.
Right.
Okay.
Right. It was. I looked into the Czech holistic program, and at the same time I went to a Qigong certification program. So I discovered Qigong, and
I'm going to have to,
what is Qigong?
What is Qigong?
Yeah.
Qigong is the mother of Tai Chi. It is the oldest form of Chinese practices, or it's moving meditation, basically. Yes. We have like 3 energy centers, and Qigong in the Chinese medicine is all about, it says that most of our energy comes from our dantian, which is our belly area. And so the whole form is meant to open up meridians and channel energy so that you can bring all your energy into your womb area, which is.
And a good way to remember this is when Qi leaves, Qi gone. Okay. Too soon? No, I love that you're talking about this too, right? So I think, you're finding out all this, you're getting healthier, you're finding new ways to move, you're finding new things to eat. At the same time, you're still working full time, you're in this relationship, you're learning about biorhythms and different things in your body. When did it all just kind of, because you look pretty centered to me now, and I have watched your videos and stuff. When did it all just click then? I mean, you're still in this journey back when we're talking about, correct?
Yeah. Well, since I was so tired and fatigued, and then also on a regimented diet, because I was allergic to so many things. I wasn't exercising very much, and I was noticing that doing Qigong and eating these nourishing foods, because we also learned about the phytochemical, we were talking about asparagus earlier. I learned about every vegetable and how much phytochemical content it had and how healing it was. So I started learning about the healing properties of every food, the acidity of every food, how a food nourishes us or depletes us, more about metabolism. Of course, I said energy, but I wasn't doing bodybuilding workouts anymore, and I was looking better and feeling better than I ever did. Yeah. And I was like, oh my gosh. So, it's all about metabolism and how to balance it out. And
I wonder, and I want to go back to, we were talking about this. You've got these 3 pillars of healing, and you said musculoskeletal, neuro, mindset. Right. But and I know sleep falls in there, probably under the neuro, and I think that. But you had mentioned your own sleep difficulties, and here you were battling. And I know because we've talked about some of how nerdy you get with your sleep.
Oh yeah.
And your different pillows and mouth tape and whatever else, and you can tell us about that. But were you still dealing with sleep issues throughout most of this time, or did the sleep issues kind of come and go? They came on when you were stressed out back in grad school and, dealing with that. And then, or did you kind of still have sleep issues, or, did we find out that maybe this thyroid issue was really the cause of more of the fatigue as opposed to your sleep? Or, how did your sleep play into this? Where was your sleep journey?
Yeah. Thanks for asking. So in college, my freshman year, I had 2 roommates, and also in college, you're able to pick out the classes you want and what times you want. I picked all 8 or 9. If I could, I picked up 9 o'clock classes. I had a roommate that had all 7 o'clock classes every day, and she'd blow dry her hair every morning. And of course that would wake me up. So that's when I discovered earplugs. And since college, I have been wearing earplugs. It's embarrassing.
Every night
to
sleep.
I have to use earplugs.
No, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Okay. And
I could get a white noise machine.
Yeah. Mask. You do a mask too?
I do a mask. I think, I'm not sure if, melatonin deficiency
here we go,
or the development of it was a thing, because I remember my mom foiling out our window or her windows in our house. And I always had to wear a mask, or I totally black out my room.
Okay. So you follow all that. But when did you really start?
The sleep journey is what we like to say, right?
Diving into I got to have my sleep this way. I got to have the earplugs. I got to have the, and the mouth tape and the breathing. And where did you learn all that?
Yeah. Let's see. The sleeping, so I would say that let me see, around the competition time when I was living in Vegas, that's when I felt like I was on more because I was like training for so many things and I was working and I was like, meeting more people and going out. And so it was hard for me to go to sleep. So I remembered like drinking more because it would help me get drunk and fall asleep better. And then adding melatonin. And then actually I went through like a few relationships and maybe, and the trauma of that, like the breakup.
Yeah.
I would just come up with so many stories in my head. And that would be the number one thing of how why I wasn't able to sleep.
Right.
The stories.
One of the things I heard is, and when I first got into sleep, because I was like, get all geeked out on it, like you guys said, nerd, and studied all this. They said, if you have trouble sleeping one night, check your pillow, right? The second night, check your sheets. If you have a third, check your head. Right.
Yeah.
And so even to this day, I don't say I'm an expert. I'm part of an amazing sleep podcast. I work for an amazing sleep company, but there's still times where I'll lay down and it's just those thoughts, right? The sleep journey, and I apologize, I think this is where Brandon's going. Like you're doing the Qigong, you're getting healthy in many ways. You're figuring out your body. When did you realize that, hey, sleep is also that important? With everything else you just said, or have you figured it out that, man, you got to get this many hours sleep. This is how I'm productive. This is my best. This is how I approach life the best with this amount of sleep. When did that happen, or has it?
What I noticed was that if I got 8 hours of sleep the next day, I felt great. I was able to perform at work the way, how I wanted. Also my digestion, we'll talk about other functions. I have celiac disease too. And growing up, I had issues with constipation. In college, I was so stressed out. This is a little TMI, but I was so stressed out. There was some weeks that I'd go to the restroom one time in the whole week because I was just like, I would hold so much tension. And if I didn't sleep well, then it would mess up my digestion. So I noticed that whenever I sleep better, then everything else was better. Okay. So it became very important to me.
Okay.
Yeah. So tell us about the business.
Yeah.
I want to hear about the business.
Okay.
Why'd you start the business? Why'd you leave what you were doing? Why'd you come to Austin? And why'd you start your business?
Yeah.
What's the vision for your business?
Let's see. Let's go to the business.
Brandon does that a lot. He asks, do you notice that? He asks 4 questions. He's like Pat McAfee.
Yeah, he's got it.
Because I see her going, okay, which one do you want me to answer?
All of it.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I'm on this journey to heal myself from the inside out or from the outside in, right? I have this I had adrenal fatigue. I would say that I had pretty bad adrenal fatigue. And yet, like, you got to pay all your bills. I had to pay all my little medical bills and things like that. And so I needed to figure out how to make the same or more amount of money and still be able to deliver quality care. I noticed that I would, physical therapists have to, we are required to get 30 hours of continuing education courses or credits. And so every year I'd go to these amazing classes and I'd become a better and better physical therapist. And I show up at work and I would do my greatest work and I'd get so many great reviews but my salary wasn't going up and I was still trying so hard and still the same amount. And it was in 2016, a clinic that I was working in here in Austin offered a dry needling course. And I remember being dry needled in 2008, actually, in Vegas. And man, I got my hip flexor and my IT band dry needled. And the next day I had the fastest run I'd ever had. And I was just like, what is this? So when this course was offered in 2016, I'm like, I'm on it. Let's do it. So just every single person in our class had some type of some area that they were healing. And we all noticed that we had great results right after getting dry needled. So I was like, okay, this is a great modality. Not a lot of people know about it. I always want to be ahead of the wave, ahead of what was going on. So after I got certified, I just started practicing on all my friends, my family, myself, with coworkers, and I got better and better. It's, dry needling. Other people, some people have been dry needled. There's a difference between the experience of the dry needler. Sometimes the needle just goes in and they call that dry needling, and there's other ways to really, really process that trigger point. And so I got really into it because it would work so fast. And I started, creating this little side hustle at my house. And so I'd be working full time. And then I had this little side hustle. Then I decided to grow it. And then I collaborated with a chiropractor. And that's where I met you and Jenny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there really is a Jenny?
Yeah, she's the most beautiful woman you've ever. Yes, she's amazing. She's got to be on this podcast.
She is incredible.
Oh, she's going to be on this podcast.
Yes,
I promise
should.
you.
Yeah.
Actually, I joke. I've met Jenny. She's a sweetheart.
Yeah.
She already told me happy birthday.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
No, I think it's interesting because where Brandon was asking, because I am curious too. So did all this side hustle, all that, was that in Austin or was that still down in McAllen?
That was in Austin. Yeah.
Okay. So you had already moved
back. Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah,
I
am in Austin because Austin offers all the self-care that I require. Like after being diagnosed with celiac, I mean, everything I ever wanted was at Whole Foods. And
the thing about Austin that I love, I mean, there's a few things about Austin that, and don't get me wrong, Texas is a great state and there's things I hate about Austin and we can get into that later, but there's the lifestyle in terms of people that really care about their health here. So for me, that makes it easier for me to be healthy and for me to push, in terms of the hiking, the biking, the outdoor activities, the family friendly activities and that kind of stuff, it offers that. Of course you have the nightlife and you have the music and all that, which I love. But there's also a lot of people. So from a business standpoint, I would imagine Austin offers more in terms of people that want those services. There's more people that, it's so much more fulfilling and rewarding to work with clients or customers or patients that are actively engaged in their healthcare. And I would imagine you see that more here than maybe
of
you
course
did in other places.
Of course. Well, more than McAllen, right?
Yeah.
And I could say that she lived in Vegas.
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough to play baseball for a little while. I lived in Phoenix. And I remember as a young man going, everybody's good looking.
Yeah.
Like everybody's in shape.
Yeah.
Like everybody cares about what they eat and stuff. So I'm sure in that circle you're running with, I do have something kind of funny to share with you.
Sure.
I hope this isn't too. So I Googled
is it your penis size?
No.
Jesus Christ.
So I Googled you because I really do. I like to do research. And I was so excited to see you were going to do this. It said dry needling and you were going to do like a tutorial and the screen comes on and she has a dog on her lap and a lady next to her. And I'm like, oh shit, what are we doing? She's going to do a dog, like dry needle a dog. You'll know where I'm going. Am I lying? And so you're talking and it's very professional. You're talking to this lady, but the dog's right there. And I'm like, number one, why is the dog there? Who's the dog? Is she going to dry? But she doesn't dry needle the dog. Was your dog part of the?
My dog. So that was my dog Cheeky. She passed away like 2 years ago. Okay. I found her at a pediatric clinic that I was working in South Texas, and she came up with me, and she's been my.
So she was kind of your assistant.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was like she didn't introduce the dog; it's just there, and I'm like, okay. When we interview Cristi, is she one of these people that like really likes dogs? Like she's always got to have a dog there? Is it a service animal? I don't know.
I do really like dogs, and I'm dog friendly. If anyone wants to come and get dry needled and bring their dog, come over here.
So Dan,
I was going to say,
I love Dan.
Me.
Handsome Dan. Sorry. I love handsome Dan. I didn't think he was not attached to his dog forever. He wouldn't go anywhere, and the dog would leash him. Like everywhere he'd go, he had his dog.
I keep him on my way.
His dog is famous on our podcast with Mark. Everybody talks about
Jasper.
the dog. Yeah, Jasper. So awesome that you're dog friendly. That's another thing I love about Austin in this area. So I apologize for taking side note there. So your business sounds like it's thriving, by the way.
It is thriving. It's doing great. I'm really, COVID was the thing that made me like push me off the cliff. And then I decided to fly or whatever. What's that?
No.
Yeah.
So give us an example of that. What do you mean by that?
So, speaking of fear and safety, I mean, we all kind of want to feel safe. And so I started dry needling. I know I was good at it. I still don't, I always thought that somebody was better than me or I wasn't good enough to like start my own business. And so I worked 2 days at an outpatient ortho clinic. And then I had CC dry needling. And when the pandemic hit, I mean, most orthopedic doctor clinics closed and a lot of physical therapy clinics were closed as well. So I was one of the first ones to be let go. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? And it was through that I just like, really regained or got into my vision. And I don't know, just...
Well, I say that you were gently pushed, right? And like I said earlier, I don't believe in coincidence. I'm real big in like seeing the expressions in people. So like when you literally glow when you start talking about CC dry needling, look at your face. So it's like your baby, right?
Yeah,
and
I love
it's something
it.
that it's like your purpose. It's your drive.
I really like dry needling. The reason why I like dry needling so much is because it's a new modality and gosh, the testimonials that I get after are so rewarding. I mean, I feel so happy that the patients have hope that something else versus a pill or surgery is possibly going to get them into doing what they love again.
Right.
Because I mean, you had a surgery, right?
I didn't have surgery. I had the cortisone injections.
Oh, you had cortisone injections.
Yeah,
So
cortisone
in my
injections.
background is
He's got surgery.
I'm full.
He's got a fusion.
I'm full fused lower back.
Yeah.
I tried everything. And
Did you try dry needling?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it was
With
helpful,
Cristi?
but I didn't have disc. There's really not,
Yeah.
but I still dry needle to this day for little injuries. I was talking to my best friend last night about that, talking about you coming on. I'm a big fan of dry needling and that had absolutely nothing to do with,
Well,
my back's my back, but anytime I get a little tweak or whatever, that's what I do because I just find that it releases. For me, it's healing.
I think that's kind of the thing. So it's healing, but it's also going back to kind of this wellness situation. And, because when I work with Cristi, it's like, okay, well, it's not just about you're coming to get needled. It's about what are you doing? Are you stretching? Are you doing your movement? Are you doing your meditation? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? This is this kind of this idea of total wellness, which we keep getting back to.
Yep.
And so of course I'm always like, well, how are you sleeping? But she says, and I think, and this was the thing about COVID that drove me crazy. And I don't know how you felt about this. Well, there's a lot of things about COVID.
Here we go.
Crazy, but
Can we just keep it?
This idea of closing down medical facilities when the most important thing was being healthy.
Yep.
Like if we could have just pressed and still continue to press impress upon people how important it is
Diet,
to
exercise,
move, diet,
sunlight,
exercise, get your movement in, get your vitamin D supplementation, whatever it is to be healthy.
Right.
It's just not as big of a concern. And that was what was frustrating for me about that. But I don't know.
And then frustration is a form of stress. Like during the pandemic, there was a time when business was slow, but when it like jumped back up, patients usually came in with like a 6 or 7 out of 10 pain level. People were like at an 8 or 9.
Right.
And it was the same injury, like upper trap, quadratus lumborum, like low back, but it was so high because I think the amount of stress that was
Somatic.
going on.
I guarantee it. There's a lot of somatic that is involved in that. It's stressed out, being, not knowing where your next paycheck's going to go.
Safety.
You're worried about your kids.
Yep.
The pandemic was scary enough, getting furloughed, getting laid off. What you do, and the reason I'm glad I get to meet you, right, is you serve and you heal. And our goal in lives, me and Brandon joke a lot. We can be goofy, is to help, right? What you're bringing to your patients is you're saving lives, basically. I know for me, and we could talk about me all day.
Well, we should. It's your birthday.
But even the surgeries and all that. But it's it's health and wellness. It's if I'm doing something every day that serves, or that I'm helping somebody with an oral device, if I'm just listening to somebody, if it's, advice, or listening to a good song that cheers you up. So what you do, you found the niche in life where you are helping others, you're following your passion. And it's just awesome. I mean, I think that living in Austin obviously is so different from the Valley, but your core values are there, girl. That small town, being raised Catholic, trust me, I know. And having that foundation of your father, that injury, I just think that's it. Every little piece that you've shared so far is made you into the woman you are today. Mm-hmm. And that woman is to still serve. Common theme though, and this is just my input, everywhere along the line, you've had a side hustle, a second thing, something else going on. Is this the first time in your life, maybe, I'm just guessing, where this is it? It's CC Dry Needling. This is what I do.
Right now it is. Right now it is because it's so needed.
Yeah.
And
you looked at me kind of straight. Did you just realize, like, every time you've had a couple things going on, or three things, or this has been, yeah.
So CC Dry Needling is helping so many people out there because they're discovering that there are alternative ways to treat pain. For me, it is giving me this new avenue of freedom. I get to create my own schedule, and we were talking about happiness, and I want to do the things that make me happy, and that's dancing, concerts, art. I love art.
In what way?
I paint.
Watercolor? What do you
acrylic.
do? Acrylic? Okay.
Yeah. I sew a lot too. I love fashion. I like makeup. I love being creative, that side of me. And so I'm so great at, I have really good fine motor skills. So I think that's why I'm so good at dry needling, but I love art. So I want more time to do the things that I love. And I also want other people to get back into the things that they love doing too. But if they're in pain, not happening, they're totally have blinders on. Yeah.
You're like the perfect for our podcast. You would love our podcast, Sleeping Around the Podcast, because we it's everything you're passionate about: music, dance, art. It's a really cool podcast.
Yeah, you should subscribe.
I want to make sure that we're getting the correct plugs in. I know that sounds silly, so I want to, if that's okay with you. So it's CC Dry Needling here in Austin, Texas.
Yep.
How would someone get a hold of you? Do you like a website? And we'll do all your links. Are you Facebook, Instagram? They don't have, where are you on?
It's I think MySpace.
Yeah. But no, how would they get a hold of you, and how would someone who's in pain come see you?
My website is called ccdryneedling.com.
Okay.
You can find me on Google. There's a bunch of reviews. On my website, you're able to book a 15-minute free consultation so we can get on the phone and talk about whatever's going on. You need a prescription to come see a physical therapist, but also you're able to get a session done without the prescription. So I have Facebook, look up CC Dry Needling. CC Dry Needling is on Instagram. My name's Cristi Cuellar on Instagram. I have the 2 Instagrams because
one's personal,
one's
professional.
Dan has 17 Instagrams.
Not all active, but I do have like 4 or 5 that are active.
At least.
Yeah,
so when
I can't even keep up with one.
So when we got all this start, by the way, do your friends call you CC?
some patients call me CC.
Okay.
Everybody calls her Cristi.
I'm also curious. I rolled my ankle pretty hard like 30 days ago. Are you able to needle ankles, or is that not a thing? That's a thing.
Yeah,
of course.
So,
there's not a part of my body she hasn't needled.
I can needle almost anything.
Maybe that's why the.
No, I'm not kidding. I used to not I could not walk. My right hip flexor was as tight as you could possibly imagine, and I couldn't walk without discomfort. And I mean, amongst the other things that I've done, but I mean, since I started seeing Cristi a year ago, I haven't had any pain in my hip flexor.
So yes, she can definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So any joint problem that involves muscles can be dry needled.
Fantastic.
So, someone with an ankle injury, it's all about stabilizing the muscles around the ankle, and then maybe even looking up towards the knee and the hip because maybe something is not aligned or not balanced up there. So we'll always find something to needle.
Cristi, you're awesome.
Thank you.
I have one more question. And I have been, I talked to my buddy who's going to be on the podcast later today, Dr. Jason Breed.
This is how he tries to get girls' numbers.
No, I'm fascinated by this.
You can give him a fake number.
So every time I've been in a gym or at a track and I see girls' volleyball is when I first noticed it.
Oh yeah, the beach volleyball, the tape on the.
You are certified in that, correct?
Yeah.
How do you say it?
Kinesio taping.
Yes. How does that work? Like I'm not being funny. Like, does it really relieve? Like just the way that you learn how to put that tape versus
there's so it can either inhibit the muscle or facilitate a muscle.
Okay.
I mean, the number one area that I tape is people's shoulders.
Okay.
Because so many people are in forward head posture and they get shoulder injuries because their shoulders rolled forward. So then I'll tape their scapula back.
Okay.
But yeah, the kinesio tape is a stretchy tape that you can. It does matter how you put it on. But
does it have medicine in it, or is it just the tape itself? No, I'm being serious.
It's just the tape. It's just tape.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to tape my wrist in college because it looked cool.
That's
true. I played baseball. I was like, or when I played football and stuff. But to see how it just fascinates me. Like I said, I have some issues in my arm, so I get dry needled. Would tape help that?
Tape would help, like for like a tendonitis. It can help like a tendonitis problem.
Okay.
It can help a low back problem.
Okay.
I like it because it's like it helps your kinesthetic awareness. It helps you get back into a posture that is.
So obviously you've been watching me, and he gives me a hard time. And people who've watched the podcast, I do this a lot because of my back and all that. But I had to ask about the taping because it's obviously I love the volleyball, right? Sand volleyball. Our girls were awesome in the Olympics, and she was one of the first. I can't remember her name.
Missy May Trainer.
Yeah, always had it. And then I saw her do a commercial for it. When I saw that you were certified in it, I said, I got to ask about the tape.
Yeah. Yeah,
well,
that's great.
Cristi, I really appreciate you coming on and sharing this. As we finish up here, take into account your journey, the things you've learned about yourself, what you've seen in your patients, what you've seen from your business, and what would you just say? What's the overlying message that you have for people?
What would be okay, so I'd say like maybe 2 or 3. Number 1, healing is an everyday commitment. You're just not, all right, I'm healed. Yeah. Every day you got to do something I like to create self-care in your life. Every day, because it catches up with us. Yep. The next thing, your voice matters. A lot of people think that what they say doesn't matter. And I'm really glad I'm here. And I'm glad that you're creating this podcast. A lot of people have shame about their sleeping ritual or their values or whatever. And I don't know, it matters. And then the other thing is, whatever you want to do, just go for it and don't worry about the perfection of it. Just do it. Get messy. Let yourself fail. Get it back up and try it again. And that's been that's been the coolest thing, getting over the perfection.
I'll tell you, as fathers to daughters, that's the message.
Yeah.
That is the message. I think we need to leave on that. Is that fair?
I think that's a great message.
Let's do a final cheers. Cristi, thank you so much for sleeping around with Dr. Brandon and Matthew. And I really value you. Thank you.
Cheers.
When the sun goes down and the moon is high, we'll be chasing